To any awakening spirit out there trying to find their way back to the lights, retrace their steps back to God, one of the best help that the Almighty has given us is something that He put inside of us, each and every one of us. There is a guidance system. It's like a mechanism that He has put inside of each and every one of us to help us to know when we are getting it right or when we're making a mistake. And that's the intuition. Some people will tell you that is their spirits. Some people call it like the Holy Spirit told them something. There are various names that we use to refer to it. Some people refer to it as one mind. Some people call it the sixth sense. It's also called the intuition. Something inside of you that knows when something is right and when something is a mistake. And if you have started to live an intentional life, if you have started to pay attention to yourself, to observe yourself very well, you will realize that there is another consciousness within you. That's why you hear some people saying something like, maybe when something bad happens, you hear someone saying like, one mind told me this thing. No, I felt this thing inside my mind. One mind told me that this thing is going to happen. One mind told me. That thing that we refer to as one mind is a guidance system that God has put inside each and every one of us to help us to be able to navigate this life rightly. You need to pay close attention to that one mind. That's that intuition within you, that thing inside of us that helps us to know when we're about to make a mistake, when we're about to take a wrong turn. Because if you pay close attention to it, believe me, it will be very difficult for you to make a mistake without knowing, without at least one mind telling you that this thing you're about to do is somehow. What I've come to realize is that sometimes some mistakes, some errors on the surface, you can tell that this is wrong. There are a lot of things that you don't need anybody to tell you that is wrong. But there are also a lot of things that, honestly, on the surface, it looks very harmless. On the surface, it looks very normal, like there's nothing wrong with it. But the moment you put your hand into it, the moment you get yourself involved in it, you have a story to tell. It's when it comes to this kind of things that the intuition becomes very important. Because with your own human mind and with your own human brain, you may not be able to discern that this is not the right step to take, that this is not the right direction to go. Things that the average person out there may think is normal. Because you pay attention to your intuition, intuitively, you will sense it. But the only thing that happens to us most times is that when we sense it intuitively, the intuition doesn't always give us a full picture. Like, this thing is wrong and this is the reason why it's wrong. And if you do it, this is what will happen. It doesn't come in that way. It will only just give you a sensing that this is wrong. Most times, our human brain may not be able to understand why it is wrong. Sometimes we end up getting ourselves involved in it because we have not been able to pinpoint why that thing is wrong. The moment you intuitively sense danger about anything, it's no matter how vague the sensing, you stay out. You keep yourself apart from that thing. You become wary of it. Take your time before you get yourself involved in it. I have made this mistake several times before I got to the point that I have come to realize that if I really want to be conscious and live an intentional life, if I really want to live a life that is pleasing to God, I have to pay attention to what my intuition is saying. Sometimes you may find yourself doing something that you really feel good about, you really feel positive about this thing. Then all of a sudden you sense in your intuition, you just feel like this thing is not right. Sometimes it's very difficult for you to tear yourself out of that thing. Because from your own human mind, you can see that, what's wrong with this thing? Or what's wrong with this person I want to deal with right now? What's wrong with this business idea that I want to get involved with? This business proposal. I mean, everything looks okay. From on the paper, it looks like I'm going to make money. It doesn't look like there's any mistake I'm going to make or there's anything that's going to go wrong. Because you're looking at it with your normal human eye. But you realize that the moment you're living a life of purpose, you cannot just do things only with the human mind consideration anymore. No, you cannot do that. You have to be led by the Spirit. And being led by the Spirit means you need to pay attention to your intuition. You need to ask yourself, whatever you want to get yourself involved in, check yourself within. What am I sensing? What is my spirit telling me about this thing? What is my intuition saying about it? The moment you hear any alarm bells or sense any form of danger, it means don't go ahead. Otherwise, the moment you go ahead with that thing, you're going to play yourself right into the hands of the darkness. I had an experience today. So somebody was bringing this proposal, introducing somebody to me who would like to join our team. Honestly, when I sounded this person out, the person sounded very knowledgeable, sounded very promising. But by the time we were done with the conversation, I was like, wow, this lady is an asset. So I mentioned to her that I would really like to have someone like you on our team. And the moment I said that, inside me, I just felt somehow. I can't pinpoint it honestly, because this is not a physical thing. You can't touch it. I just felt somehow. Just to be sure, I repeated that statement again, only for me to feel the same feeling. I just felt something uncomfortable. Like I just felt somehow. After I said it the second time, I had the same feeling. I didn't need anybody to tell me, I had to call myself to order. I was just like, Amanda, is it that you cannot feel what your intuition is trying to say? I knew my intuition was trying to warn me. I knew my spirit was saying no to that move. Even though I couldn't see why, because after sounding out the lady, she sounded like she was an asset to the team, but my spirit just wasn't accepting it. I thank the Lord that I paid attention to that feeling. So I stopped the conversation right there. Even though, honestly, with my human brain, there is nothing wrong with that lady. But I know that for the fact that my intuition has picked up on something, because the way the intuition works is that it picks up on the auras, on the energy of the other person, on something that you and I cannot see with our naked eyes, on something we cannot sense with our human brain. The intuition picks up on it. The spirit knows conversations that have been had behind your back. So even things you don't know, things you can't see, you can't decipher with your human eyes, your spirit will pick up on it. And if you're paying close attention to your life, to what you're thinking, to everything happening around you, to your environment, you would know when your intuition is saying yes or when it's saying no. So with this particular incident, I know that in the nearest future, I will find out the reason why my intuition said no to that lady, even though the lady looks perfect on paper. But there must be something that made my spirit not to accept this person. And most times when the intuition is pushing you to go and do something, one of the reasons that keeps us from doing the things that the intuition pushes us to do is because we cannot see an advantage. We can't see the reason why. We can't see, with our human mind, all we can see is either we are seeing advantage or disadvantage, depending on what it's telling us. And if we can't see any encouragement to go forward, we find it difficult to move forward. Like this, my videos, and they kept pushing me to go and do. Honestly, it's been overdue since 2019, and I've been feeling pushed, urged in my intuition to share my spiritual growth journey, to just document it, to help anybody out there that would need that help. But I found it very difficult because I didn't see the advantage of putting my own life out there, my own mistakes. I know, yes, it may help somebody, but I just felt like, there are other ways that person can be helped. I don't have to put my life out there for the person to be helped. I struggled with it. I started for a while, but then I stopped. I just couldn't see beyond my nose. And that's mostly what happens to us. So in this walk with God, in this journey of retracing your steps back to God, you need to trust your intuition 100%. Deep down inside, when your brain is telling you something, it's different. When your intellect is telling you something, it's different. You can see the indices. You can see what it is. You can see why it is that way. You can see what the consequences are. It's usually clear. But when it comes to the intuition, when it comes to the things of the spirit, you can't see, or you can just sense a certain thing, either go or don't go, but you don't know why. You can't sense why. You don't know the consequences. You can't tell. And that is where we get caught up. We struggle with obeying. So when it comes to this work, prioritize your intuition. Listen to your inner mind. Connect with your inner self. Don't joke with what your intuition tells you to do. Don't joke with it. Pay attention to it, no matter how difficult it is. Take your time. Say an honest and earnest prayer to God. Ask Him to give you the strength to listen to your intuition, to toe that line, even though you cannot see. Because one thing I have seen in the walk with God is that you may not be able to see one step ahead, but once you move one step, it will reveal the next step to you. Once you move one step, but for the fact you have not moved, you are standing on one step, you will never see beyond that step until you make a move. So in this walk with God, be confident, be courageous, trust in God. In the places where your trust and your confidence starts to fail, call for help, say a prayer of help, ask the Lord to give you the strength to continue again. Don't depend on your human mind, don't depend on your human eyes, because it cannot see beyond a certain level. And if you depend only on the limits of the human brain and the human eyes, you cannot go far. Let your intuition be your friend. Connect with your inner self in anything that you're doing. Don't just, okay, let's go here. You stand up and start going. Okay, let's do this. You jump up and start doing. No. Take your time. Look within your spirit. Pray. Ask the Lord to give you direction. Pray for discernment. Ask for a sign. You don't just jump into anything because it is being done or because this is what your brain can see as the advantage that is in it or the benefit or the consequence. No, it doesn't just end there. Whatever it is, no matter how trivial, ask for guidance. The help is there. So long as you ask for help, the Lord will provide you with help. Ask for a sign so that you know the steps you're taking. Because one thing I can tell you is that the human mind is deceptive and the darkness itself is more deceptive. Things that look harmless, things that look like it's a good thing, things that look like, what's there? You will be surprised to find out the amount of harm you can do to yourself and to your spiritual growth. How much backwards you can go in your spiritual journey if you don't discern, if you don't take your time to ask for a sign, to find out if truly that thing aligns with the will of God for your life before you move. This is one of the places where we struggle. Find yourself struggling, moving back and forth. You make decisions, you find out that they are wrong, you find out that you've been set back, you start again. You keep going through this vicious cycle. Why? Because we make decisions without seeking help. We make decisions without seeking the will of God. We just move because in our human head, in our brain, we can already see an advantage. Someone brings a business idea, someone introduces someone to you, you just move on ahead with the proposal because to you it looks good. But you have forgotten that the ways of God is not the ways of man. The way we see things, the way we can decipher, the way we can discern is limited to our human brain. But that guidance system in our spirit, that guidance system within you, your intuition is one tool that can help you to be able to navigate yourself well in your walk with God. In next videos, I'm going to be talking about how we can know the difference between the one that the intuition is telling us and the one that our brain is telling us. I'm going to delve deeper into it because I myself I'm doing my own research, is trying to find out the difference, because sometimes it can be confusing. That's why you hear yourself saying, one mind told me this, and then you end up doing another thing, because that mind that told you, you honestly didn't really know that mind was your spirit, was your intuition, and you just went ahead with the one that looked like a more reasonable idea, only to end up finding out that you made a mistake. So in this walk, in this retracing of steps back to God, it's very important that we remain on the right track. You don't have the luxury of making many mistakes as much as many people. You don't have that luxury. You need to get on track. You need to remain on track as consistently as possible. So any decision, any idea you're going to run with, any move you're going to make, especially major moves, even minor ones, no matter how trivial, no matter how insignificant it may seem to you, make sure that you seek the will of God before you move on ahead with it. Listen to your spirit and ask yourself, what is my spirit saying about this thing, before you go ahead with it. You don't just jump into anything because it is available. No, you seek the will of God. And as you're making that move, you trust confidently because you have listened to your intuition. You trust because most times when we listen to our intuition, we think it's all going to be rosy. Everything is going to play out smoothly. It may not be like that. There may be obstacles along the way, but for the fact you know that you have listened to your spirit within, you move on with courage and confidence. At the end of the day, you will see that everything will turn out in your favor because you aligned yourself with the will of God and you listen to your intuition. So don't joke with your intuition. The inner alignment, your inner self, your spirit within will guide you on the right path. So long as you don't use your brain to make decisions and you continue to seek the will of God within before you step out, you will always be on the right track.